Hello and welcome to a Project Cars 2 multiplayer online race where today we shall be racing around Imola in the GT3 cars, and as you can see I'm going to be starting from third position on the grid driving the Audi R8 LMS GT3 car. This is going to be a 6-lap race in total, and this is the setup that I'm going to be running with for this race. Just loading up here. So you can see I just tweaked the tyre pressures a little bit, also the downforce I tweaked slightly as well. One or two small minor tweaks in the actual suspension, and then also in the dampers area as well. I've had a little fiddle there with a couple of things, but nothing too major. That's the engine gearing and ECU tab, and then here is the differential where I've made a couple of minor tweaks as well. So we'll just double check that we've got the right amount of fuel that we need for the race, which is all good. And now that everybody's ready, we're forming up on the grid, ready for this 6-lap race. Just recenter the TrackIR, allow me to look around in the mirrors and double check out the side cockpits. Getting a decent launch off of the line, not too much wheel spin. That was fairly good, but not quite as good as that Ferrari that started in 4th position, so we're immediately down a place coming in towards turn 1, but we've got a bit of space behind us, so that's good. Not going to get rear-ended through the first couple of turns as that Ferrari gets very, very sideways. Just try and sneak up the inside of him here in turn 3, but not quite really making that work, not far enough alongside, so I'm going to back out of it into the next left-hander. Coming off of that right-hander there, I've actually got a pretty decent run, so let's see if we can get down the inside of him in this hairpin and try and nip that third position off of him. A little bit of oversteer there on the exit, but we get the drive off of the corner that we need, and we do manage to get ourselves up into that third place. So reasonably solid, but the two leaders are pulling away as I go very, very deep there into that left-hander going out wide, wanting to avoid a slowdown penalty and make sure that I just ease off a little bit to avoid doing that, and that basically means that I had to concede the position to the Ferrari around my outside, but it's kind of put me under threat a little bit from the Bentleys behind. There are two of them there, but we are still right there in contention with third place. But yeah, P1 and 2 are starting to disappear off in the distance. There's a little bit of contact there on the rear of that Ferrari, and now I'm very much under pressure from the two Bentleys behind. I've actually got one of them looking here to my right hand side. Just a quick glance to see where he is. I've got the inside line for this next left-hander at the end of this braking zone, so I should be able to hold on to the position, which I do manage to do quite nicely. Now that they've actually both dropped off a little bit behind, I'm able to focus on the Ferrari in front and not have to worry about those two Bentleys. They're a good 2 seconds or so behind me now, so yeah, back on the focus of trying to get P3 once again. Coming into the braking zone for turn 1, getting the car quite nicely slowed down. A little bit of oversteer as we come off the curb on the outside. Those two Bentleys are in the rear view mirror, tussling over that 5th position. I think one of the Bentleys took the other one out, and fortunately for me, they didn't actually end up collecting me going through that first chicane. But we're continuing on, but the guy in front of me has got a 1 second track limits penalty, and actually the leader's got a 2 seconds track limit penalty as well. And we've got a decent run coming up the hill off of the hairpin, but I'm not going to be close enough to really do anything with it coming into this left-hander, so just settling in behind, taking a little bit more cautiously this time around on the entry, and in doing so probably braked a little bit too early, or earlier than I actually needed to, so I was a little bit slower going into that corner than I would have liked to be in. But now P3, Brett in front of us, has got a 2 second penalty, so he's added a little bit more time coming into the chicane. Decent run there. He's out quite wide on the exit, using the available runoff area that's out there. Obviously need to be careful you don't get a slowdown penalty there, but now the race leader's actually got a 4 second penalty as we're dropping off the back of P3 a little bit, but closing up under braking for the penultimate turn, and again coming into the final corner as well. So trying to get a decent run, trying to get the slipstream coming down this this start-finish straight, but not really able to do anything and running a little bit more downforce than the Ferrari. As you can see, is pulling away despite me being in the slipstream. little bit deep there into turn 1, but so was the guy in front. He was a little bit deeper than I was, which compromised his run through turn 2 a little bit more than mine. So we managed to gain a car length or so. And again, getting a much better line through here. Putting him under pressure, having a look to the outside, coming towards the hairpin. But I'll get my nose chopped off there, and actually P2 has ended up spinning. So that's us now up into P3, and the two guys in front of us do both have time penalties. And if the race was to finish at the end of this lap and I'm able to keep myself within 4 seconds of P1, I will end up inheriting that race lead. But obviously I'd like to see if I can try and get past this Ferrari and actually try and chase P1 down a little bit and pass him on track. But the Ferrari in front has gone a little bit wide there through that double right-hander, and has ended up spinning as he was trying to rejoin onto the track. So that's gifted me P2. Now I've got some clear air in front of me, about 3.5 seconds off of the race leader, so I need to try and close this gap down, or at least stay within that 4 seconds in order to get the race win. But as you saw, not the best of runs coming out of that chicane, and the gap is increasing, nearing that 4-second threshold. So got to try and claw some of this time back a little bit, getting a decent run coming through the penultimate and final turn. Brought the gap down a little bit by about a tenth or two, but not by much. But now that I don't have the Ferrari in front of me, I'm not getting that that toe coming down this start-finish straight. But still, with the clear air through the last few turns, I was able to go 3.5 tenths of a second quicker than previous lap time, all up over the curbs there through turn 1 and 2 in that first chicane. Fortunately, managing to keep some of my tyre in contact with the white line to avoid getting a track limits penalty. Nice smooth run there through 4 and 5 now into the hairpin of 6. Coming and hooking up a late apex and just driving and managing the car coming off of the corner. In this nice smooth run, and that gap to the leader is still lurking about that 3.7 second mark. Decent run through there, and you can see that I'm half a second up on my previous fastest at the moment. Now that I've got a clear air, I don't have a car in front of me. It's kind of distracting me. There's a little bit of oversteer there on entry to the right-hander, but we do manage to gather it back up. And we continue on our way. Just now coming into the chicane again, breaking down into second gear. Clip 2 curves, but trying not to take too much or attack them too aggressively. So it will very easily lift the inside wheels, and that will cost you traction and therefore the lap time. Coming into the braking zone now, the penultimate turn. Once again, we're now up to roughly around about a second, or just under a second quicker than the previous fastest. Need to get a decent run coming off of the final turn as well. Got the gap to 3.5 seconds to the leader. So coming into the 5th lap, we're in a pretty good spot at the moment. We just need to hold it here and keep within that 4-second window so we can get that race win. We are obviously pulling away from Alan and the rest of the drivers behind. They're a good 14 or so seconds off of the race leader, so a good 12 seconds behind me as I get quite a bit of oversteer there, just catching the curb a little bit awkwardly through turn 3. Just costing me a little bit of time, as you can see. About 2, maybe 3 attempts off of my previous fastest. Actually make that, sorry, yeah, 2 attempts. Getting a decent run coming through the hairpin though, not really quite getting the drive off of the corner and coming up the hill, and you can see that gap is now up to 3.9 seconds, now actually 4 seconds as we approach this left-hander. So really got my work cut out for me now to try and really push and bring myself back within that 4-second window. A little bit of a gap battle that we've got going on here with the race leader, even though we're not actually battling for physical position on track as per se. We're actually battling away, trying to get, or trying to hold, and or I'm trying to take, in my case, the race lead. Obviously he's trying to hold it, and the gap's now down to 3.4 seconds, so we've had a very, very good middle sector in comparison to him. Penultimate turn, just navigating our way through quite nicely. Reasonable drive off of the final corner, probably could have used a little bit more of the exit curb, but the gap is just over 3 seconds, 3.2 seconds coming into the final lap. So I've got to keep myself in and around here. I've got a fairly decent margin of about 0.8 of a second or so, so I can't really afford to make any major mistakes. Coming into turn 1, hooking up the curbs quite nicely, although there's a little bit of oversteer on the exit of 2. Gap 3.5 seconds, so he's gained a little bit on me in the first 3 turns, so I could try and gain some of it back using second gear, which I didn't really want to do. I would have liked to have been, or at least kept it in third, but not quite. Getting the car, wanting to break away a little bit. It's come from there, but the gap is just over 3 seconds. So we're in a pretty good spot. We just need to hold our ground essentially, and we'll end up inheriting the win. Just got to be nice and smooth through these corners, not hustle the car too much. It responding very, very nicely through the right-handed turn, and the gap's now actually under 3 seconds. We're now down to around about 2.5 seconds. I think he may realise that he's not going to get the race win and kind of just giving up, really pushing and settling for second. It's allowing me to close up a lot more and actually consolidate getting this race win as we come into the last couple of turns. So I just need to keep it nice and smooth here, not make any mistakes. Now the final corner, and getting a decent run off of that, and coming across the line in just a short moment, roughly about 2 seconds off of the leader. So close the gap a decent margin coming in through that final lap, but I think he gave up more than anything. But that was a pretty good gap battle between myself and the leader, and quite tense first couple of laps as well, trying to pick up third position after losing it at the start. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any Project Cars 2 content in the future. But until the next video, thank you very much for watching. Have fun, stay safe, and take care.